Dare the monsoon with the Honda WRV. With offers up to 57,000 rupees this November. Visit your nearest Honda car showroom today.
Hi, hello, and welcome to Cinema Express. My name is Venkat Srikar. Today we have with us cinematographer Viswajith Odukkathil with us. We are going to talk about his latest film, Mukundan Unni Associates, his craft, and hopefully much more. Hello, Viswajith. How are you?
Good, I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. So congrats for the film. I watched it a couple of days back. I really liked the film. I really liked what you guys were going for. I liked the visual treatment and how the aspect ratio actually serves the story in addition to just being not just being a stylistic choice. So I thought I'd reach out to you. Thank you very much for giving the time.
Thank you.
So Vishwajit, 2022 has been a very interesting year for you, right? You made your debut as cinematographer with Hridhayam, and now your sophomore film, Mukundan Unni Associates, both have turned out to be like I would call two great films. So I want to know. I was going through some of your previous interviews where you had stated how your journey started with films like Neram, Thira, and then you went on to work in films like Prema, Muruvadakan Selfie. Your first day as a cinematographer when you were shooting Hridayam, what was happening in your mind and what were you guys shooting?
I think the first day we are just shooting, I think, montage cuts of Pranav coming back to his house. I think it is the second year, third year, right after the breakup. So that was and he looking at the mirror was the first shot. So it started off a little late because this day one of shooting, and that was the day one of proper shoot of Hridayam, because actually the first thing which we shot was song cuts for Darshana, which was a minimal crew. So basically, I think 7, 8 of us, just Vineeth and Pranav, Kalyani, and Darshana. So all the photo shoots were taken in Munnar. The first look poster that was taken in Munnar.
Yeah,
So we had a 1.5 half a day shoot there, a couple of drone shots and a couple of night sequences and few song cuts for Darshana where they're on top of one hill overlooking sunrise and all. So that was the actual first day. But coming back to Cochin with the entire unit, I think we started off with the house sequence. So when you say first day, when two different things come to my mind, I was like, okay, when did we actually start?
okay. How was your
So
headspace like?
right, I mean, as far as Vineeth is concerned, he's very clear. He knows what shots he wants. Exactly. Okay, this scene will have 12 shots. Nothing more, nothing less. Because I've seen that in Tira how he divides. So since I've acted under him, I know what is his process of shot division and all. You had a vague idea regarding that. The brief which was given to me during Hridayam was he needed a lot of movements. So it should be shot very dynamically.
Yeah, there
That
are
was the
so
brief.
many
So
shots in the film, right?
yeah, actually, there are a couple. I think for an average Malayalam film, this is just the statistics part of it. So one reel will have around 300 to 320 shots. Hridayam had around 749 shots per reel. So basically, it's one shot will be around 14 frames, which is less than half a second.
Wow. And when you were filming Mukundan Unni Associates, the first day of shoot, wh-
Mm.
what was the headspace like? Were you more confident with your second film? Did you feel you had more command on the craft? How different was your headspace?
Uh, it was relatively easy because my crew was we carried over the same crew from Hridayam, and Hridayam got released in Jan. We started in Feb, so basically we're just carrying over. And I knew Abhinav for a very long time, and we have done the recce and all the other parts, so we knew how we are going to shoot it. The only thing which was changed was the aspect ratio, because everything you see with the aspect ratio is done on the editing table. So when we
Wow.
decided to shoot, it was I usually stick on to the first brief. So the first brief which Abhinav gave me was he wanted a very highly sanitized visual. That was his words. So I said, okay, I'll keep it simple and I'll keep it clean. That was the thing which we agreed upon, and we kind of shot the film keeping that in mind. He said that he wanted to be a little cloudy, so we kind of avoided highlights. It is always, it stays very neutral kind of thing. But due to certain things, when he wanted to shoot the film linear, we couldn't do that. So there are a lot of hiccups like that. But we shot it in scope only. When the headroom, everything was balanced for scope. But in technically, in that camera, when you opt for the highest resolution, the camera natively shoots in 4K. So if you ask me whether you shot it in 4:3, I mean, sorry, 4:3, not 4K. So if you ask me whether you shot it in 4:3, technically yes, but intentionally no. Intentionally it was meant to be presented on scope. So we planned everything for that. Then on the table, he said that I'm going to change it. I said, okay, fine. It's not a big deal. Because see, once you work with a writer, a director, editors, you get that what you read is different from what you shoot, and what you shoot is different from what you see. So I had the experience of working with Alphonse Putran for 3 films and coming back to Abhi. So it is again the same writer, director, editor. So I knew things will change. They tend to improvise a lot. So you can't bring in a standard set of references and say, okay, this is how I'm going to shoot my film. No. You just, and they are very clear about what they want. So the approach is shot by shot. What do you want? I want this shot. Okay, you take that. Then you ask, what do you want? I want this shot. You don't have to worry about how the scene pans out or what the blocking is. And the approach was to do it shot by shot.
Since you spoke about how what you're going to shoot is it's going to be different than what you had read, and Mr. Vineeth Sreenivasan had stated in our interview that the film that he read, the script that he read, and the film that he shot were very serious, whereas the film that we finally saw, it's not that serious. I mean, like, it still deals with some very serious things. It's a serious film, but it's treated in a very light-hearted way. What was your first reaction when you first read the script? Like, you must have imagined a film in your mind, right? When you first read the script or heard a narration, you must have imagined, you must have envisioned a film with a certain level of intensity, or that. What was that? Did you envision this as a serious film?
Yeah, every time when you read a script, something plays out in your mind. You stage the scene, or you imagine this is how it's gonna happen. The closest thing which I've read and which has come on screen is Neram, because it is we shot what was there, and still I knew that when I was reading it's gonna be like this. When we shot it also, it was like this. We had a lot of freehand during the chase sequences and other sequences. During the song and all, we had a freehand. The rest of them was like what was on the script, we shot it. But on the table, the film completely changed. And I knew that it can change the editing table. It got confirmed when I did Prema. So what I read on the script was entirely different from what I shot. Sorry, what Anand shot. I was an associate in that. And what has panned out on the editing table is completely different from what we shot. So you know this film is gonna be when an editor, writer, director comes on the board, the product is something which is highly malleable. While on the shooting process or on the editing process. So what you shoot is not gonna come on the screen. They'll do a lot of things on that and look entirely different. So when it came to Mukundan Unni, I knew he was gonna do something on the table, but I didn't know what he was. Probably he was figuring out what to do with it. So you can't, okay, will it come on like this or that? And certain shots, he'll say that I want it like this, I want it like this, and he'll say that, see, this is gonna come on the table like this. Certain things you get it, certain things you trust them and you just shoot it. So I still remember Abhinav saying the trailer, a teaser idea to Vineeth, and he said that he wanted close up of this, and a smile and all. And we were there, and Abhi was like, I need shots like this, I need a wide shot. And Vineeth asked me, like, did you understand it? I said, there is no need to understand. You just need to take the shots and give it to him. He'll make the story in the editing table. It's as simple as that.
So, can you name a scene? Can you take one scene and explain it to me? How it was on the script versus how you guys shot it versus how it turned out to be. Something that was so contrasting during its transformation.
Okay. There are a lot of expositions in the film where the character explains saying that this is how the network functions and all those things. So that is basically, when you read it, it is just conversations, pure conversation between two people. We shot it like that. And after one point, he added voiceover to that. Then what he did was he used motion graphics to explain that exposition. So that's how things work with him. So basically, when we shot Mukundan Unni, we had a scene order. We had the basic thing. We shot that. Then everything was completely changed on the editing table, including the mood of the film. I mean, it was not, once the voiceover started to come in, it changed the tone and the mood of the film.
And were you aware of all these changes while they were being edited?
Yeah, he Abhi used to call me. I used to call him during the edit process. And one fine day he said me, we are gonna change the aspect ratio. I said okay. And he said that no, probably we'll have to give a lot of CG because the headroom is huge and lights will come in the frame, that will remove it in CG. Then he said that we'll have 3 aspect ratios in the film. I was like, okay. And we had an initial discussion regarding the aspect ratio during the pre-production time. And I said that, okay, if you want to shoot it, we'll shoot it in scope. I mean, if you feel you want to change it, you just crop it and change it. So it's not going to make a big, we don't have to plan it for 4:3 and this and that. We'll shoot it as normal and we'll see it in post if we can do. Since there is a flexibility, and when you make some decisions in the post, because he's an editor, he has that much of confidence in post production on the table, how to mold the film on the table. So for working with people like that, it's most of the work happens after shoot. So on the shoot, it is basically getting what is written there, getting the essentials done. The film is actually made on the table.
Were you not possessive about your frames being cropped? Because you must have envisioned it a frame, right? But when you have to let go of a part of it, were you not possessive?
See, the thing is, I mean, you look at the first look poster of the film, it is very clearly given that even though the name of the technicians in the film are there, the film completely belongs to the director. That's how the first look came. So you actually don't have a say on, say, okay, this is my most beautiful frame. I won't allow you to crop it. It is their film. So it's up to them to decide. You are called in to execute something on their behalf. And I believe that I've done it.
Okay. Wow, that's very interesting. Did you have any creative what do you call? I wouldn't call differences. Were there times where you had to disagree with Abhinav and both of you had to reach a middle ground? Because this often happens with cinematographers and directors, right? Where you must have envisioned the scene certain way, he must be having it a certain way, but both of you have to, at the end of the day, collaborate to achieve what's on the script. So, were there any instances like that?
No. During this thing, shooting also, I just let him. I come and ask, okay, this scene, how do you want it to be staged? He has a clear idea on how it wants to be staged, where the character comes from, and all. So the idea of the staging and everything is already laid out. You just wanna ask him, where do you wanna start the scene from? It is about finding whether it starts from a mid or a wide. That finding the first frame is this thing. Once you find the first frame, I think everything falls in part. So there was no major disagreements with Abhi, because these guys will change a lot of things later on and so forth. So there's no point in saying that, okay, this should be done like this. So it's like, okay, fine. Oh, you want that? We'll do that. You want this? We'll do this. That's it. That's the best approach to take. As that's a personal thing. So when you work with editors and directors or writers, so just give them what they want and they'll figure out the rest of it.
Oh, super. And since the aspect ratio is such a unique things about the film, I wanted to ask you, how did you interpret the change in the aspect ratios? Because it serves purpose in the story. It's not just a stylistic choice. I have my interpretation of it. What is your interpretation of the aspect ratio?
See, when he said that he wants to do it, and it's after 45 minutes, it becomes into a widescreen, I already knew he's gonna do that. So the next best thing is to make sure that, okay, let's see if we convert something which has been designed for scope into 4:3. Like, let's see what are all the factors which come in. So what happens is all the lights come in and other things come in. So you'll have to clean it up. Then what happens, since you're cropping off the sides, you cannot zoom in, because once you zoom, it will become closer and closer very fast because of you don't have the horizontal length. So what happens, it will change the dynamics of the scene. So if I scale a little bit, Abhi will come and say, I feel that is a little close up. I don't want that. I don't want to, I use close-ups when I want to emphasize. So you have issues like that. And Abhi has already given us a reference frame on scaling. So since he did in post, he always scales a little bit. So what you get from the table is like properly aligned and framed and all. You just need to tweak it a little bit more. So it is pretty easy going through the process.
Okay. More about how do you think the aspect ratio helped the story? Because if we take films like Grand Budapest Hotel, Wes Anderson's Grand Budapest Hotel, which played a lot with aspect ratios, the film had 3 aspect ratios. They tried to the aspect ratios. They help their the film has 3 storylines set in 3 different time periods, and each storyline has a different aspect ratio. Likewise, there is a film called Mommy, Javier Dolan's Mommy. That film was shot in 1:1, like a perfect square. And since the film is about freedom, when the main character is finally liberated, the film goes wide, like it goes 16:9, 1.77. Like that, what do you think the aspect ratio helped Mukundan Unni associate thematically?
On the Mukundan Unni associate, the aspect ratio changes when he wins his first case. So that's the point when the screen starts to expand. So till that, you're basically bottling him up in a very confined space kind of thing, and it slowly grows. The final change happens. That's a very subtle change because it cuts to black and it comes back again, where it is now scope, not
the globe
screen.
Shot.
Yeah, exactly. So you have an animation sequence in between, a motion graphic sequence in between, where he goes up, he comes down, then he gets off. So that's where. So that is the widest of what we can give. That's what actually we shot. Everything, the frame, the scape, how was it set, that thing. So he gets an opportunity there. He makes his one phone call and he's sorted. So these are the 2 points where the aspect ratio changes. And this is how
him going.
It has been. That basically him going level up and up, or depending upon
darker
the viewer's
and darker.
interpretation. You can take it like that, or you can see him expanding his horizons. So that is up to you to interpret.
Okay. Since were you also involved in the post production, like you said, like scaling up and down? I wanted to know, since you have the whole image and when you're cropping it, you have the choice to place the character in the center or incline towards left or incline towards right, like left. How did you make those choices in the post when you have the whole frame, but you still have to crop it perfectly?
So probably one advantage was we shot it in Alexa LF. So you had more coverage than Super 35. So making that into 4:3, probably you're able to actually fit in all the characters within the ratio 4:3. Luckily, so because we kind of center framed it and a little off framing was there. So even though he applied 4:3 for the major 45 minutes of the film, the attention on the frame will directly go to the characters. So if you see, you can only see the characters. There's nothing. There's not too much of distraction on the left and right, which will enable you to concentrate more on what the character is doing, or what the character is performing, or what line the character is speaking. So luckily, it came aligned. We didn't have to do a lot of major changes to adjust. I mean, that character was cutting in half. No, so the staging was always centered. So you just chop off the edge also. They'll somehow come in the line, and it doesn't look that odd.
Right. So when you took the master shot, the file that you had, what was the aspect ratio of that original file that you had shot?
See, basically, how it works is if you opt for the highest possible resolution, like the LF camera, it is open gate 4.2K. So what happens is the sensor natively shoots in 4.3. That's what you get, the raw images. But what you see in the viewfinder, what happens is you scale that image and you get a whatever you want, probably 8.5 or a 3.9. So usually people see it in 3.9. There will be black masks which will be masking the top and the bottom area, but the image will be recording beneath that and above that also. So technically you're shooting it, the camera shoots it in 4:3, but you see it in 16:9, and you go to the DI suite and you just place the image, correct it, and you take it out. Here what happens is you are taking the original image. So since there are black bars there while we are shooting, you tend to hide a lot of lights and other fixtures above and just above the black bar, so that it's not going to come in theater. Here it is going to come in theater.
Perfect.
So that was the major this thing.
So Vishwajit, I'm really curious to know how the film is going to look on our TVs once it hits streaming.
That I think probably you'll have to ask Abhi where he's retaining it. For the YouTube thing, I think 16:9 was given.
Yeah.
Because we had a lot of 3 aspect ratios. We didn't want to confuse the audience. So they said we'll give it in 16:9. That was how it is given. Probably I think it'll come in the original way. Since it is in TV, you can do whatever you want. I mean, it's an OTT thing. You can put 1:1 also. It'll work. I think it probably will come as it is come in theater only.
Okay, because our TV screens are 16:9, right? So when you have 4:3, they'll be high. The height will be higher, and when the film actually goes for 16:9, the image will
you'll
fill
have
the screen.
black. Image will fill the screen, and the other part, when it comes to scope, black bars will appear on top and bottom.
Yeah. Right. Cool. What were some of your some of the films that inspired you the most? Films or cinematographers?
I mean, you get inspiration from everything. It's not like you pinpoint one person's work. I mean, generic in life things you see, not only cinema, maybe it's an art form or something which is related, which is visually stimulating. That inspires us a lot. For Mukundan Unni, we never kept any references. I just stick to Abhinav's brief of very clean visuals, because I somehow knew when working with people like this, you can't bring in a lot of references because they'll change everything on the table and your references will go for a toss. It's better to stick to what they want and deliver it.
I like the fact that you keep saying that they will change, they'll keep changing it, they'll keep changing.
It has happened to me, like, this is the 4th time it's happening to me. I mean, I'm working in a film which has completely been changed. So some directors, like, they know what they want and they go sit with the editor and say this is how they want. Here the director says something and the same person as an editor will say something else. I think Vineeth said this in an interview. So apparently after the Mukundan Unni shoot was over, Vineeth approached Abhi and asked, like, are you happy with what you have shot? And his response was, when has a director completely happy with what he has shot? Now let's look at the editing table.
Right. Super.
Yes.
What was the biggest challenge for you in Hridhayam, and what was the biggest challenge for you in Mukundan?
In Hridhayam, the entire film was charted for 100 days, 100 plus days, but we did it in 75 odd days. So Hridayam, the thing was, when you approach, you light for the entire scene or you light for the entire space. That's it. And there is no lighting changes afterwards. Once your lighting is set, you go on shoot. That's because we had a lot to cover with less time. So all the train sequences, the railway clock works from 12 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. So 1 minute after that, you're not going to get the permissions. So you have morning sequences in railway station, you have night sequences in railway station. So you have to be very fast during that sequences. So we never did a shot by shot approach. It is to light up the entire place or the entire scene, however it is playing out, and you shoot. That's how Hridhayam was done. So once you go into a location, you shoot what is started for today, you shoot what is started for tomorrow also. So you are absolutely prepared for how it's going to play out.
Right.
Coming to Mukundan Unni, it was shot by shot. The challenge is to execute one shot at a time. It is not about the scene. You know how the scene is going to be, but it is about executing one shot at that time.
Did you watch the film in theaters?
I have not yet watched the film in theaters. I watched it in queue, but not in theaters. I have to.
Okay. And Mr. Vineeth Sreenivasan has been a constant in your career, right? Like right from Tira to he obviously made you cinematographer. How important are these? Yeah. How important are these associations for you?
Associations are very important. I mean, for me, when I look back, probably I'll say it is my luck. I mean, probably you won't get a start like that and all. My idea was to do a very small film somewhere here, there, and proceed. So when he called me up and said that, would you shoot Hridhayam? My very next question was, okay, would you want me to shoot? You can go for a better option. There are better cinematographers than me who will shoot this. And he started laughing and he said, do you have any issues shooting the film? I said, no, I don't have any issues. I'll come to Chennai, we'll meet. That's how Hridhayam happened. I never expected that one fine day he would call me and ask that, okay, will you shoot for my next film? So it just came. I took the opportunity and things played out really well. And I'm grateful for that.
Super. What's coming next, Viswajith? What's happening?
So I have Gold is there, Alphonse Putrans. So I have worked with Anand again. So Anand shot some portions, I have shot some portions. So yeah, awaiting Gold is the next thing. And few other projects, probably talks are going on regarding that.
Superb. So congrats 2022 has
thank
been
you.
a wonderful year for you. Thank you very much for the time and the conversation. Thank you
so much.
All
it's a pleasure. Thank you.